My work over the last 3 decades has focused on library projects of different types, sizes, ages, condition, budgets, some for new construction, and mostly for existing, difficult-built libraries in need of inspired renewal or renovation. A great many of the libraries I'm going to show today, and it's going to be a little virtual showcase that I'll go through quickly, bear similarity to the university's Hamilton Library that I just visited for the first time yesterday. Most, like Hamilton, can be described as challenging libraries with strong bones, whose challenges lead more often, and this is very important, to renovation opportunities than to insurmountable difficulties. Public library challenges are very similar in most respects to the academic libraries we just looked at, and where budgets are limited, strong space planning and interior design are 2 really valuable tools for success. Successful examples abound. The few this time allots us to look at in this virtual visit showcase were chosen to share variety in approach, in scale, in building type, and in authorship, with a number of architects' firms represented in the showcase. I've included just 3 of MDA's projects because I believe that these are in particular a demonstration of resolving a difficult aspect. They were chosen as examples. I'll move us on here. So these are the successful strategies that I look at. There is some blending of these strategies. And can this challenging library be transformed? I would say almost always. So the first one is to restore and blend. It's a library I decided to include, even though it's a little older renovation, done by CVT. It's the Crane Public Memorial Library. And it's an example of restore and blend. It's a Henry Hobson Richardson. Those of you who live in the States know him as a major architect of historic libraries. And it's a landmark. And it was altered with additional space, new services, and active use. So here is this library by CVT Architects in Massachusetts. And the renewal doubled the size of this treasured icon. And it used a blended approach inside and out. And I'll be honest with you, there's another approach that CVT used at Woburn, which is my preference, my personal preference. But I included this strategically because there are many library clients and really many communities that really request a traditional hand in the expansion. And so you'll see in the slides that the interior was beautifully restored, and then new services and people spaces and connection to light and a variety of options for the library were added. The next one I'm going to show is to restore and blend, and this is an MDA project. And this was transforming a village landmark with today's services, new finishes, and active use to improve the user experience. So this is the Rye-Free Reading Room in Rye, New York. And we had a tiny budget to work on pretty much all of this building. But I include it because it's indicative of something that many historic libraries grapple with, which is what to do with the structural stacks that you can see in some of these little before photos today. And so what we did here was we opened him up, we made a new books reading room behind a new desk. We got rid of the very woody desk that was there, put new lighting, we created a new tech classroom above, and you can see more slides here of that. We renewed the reading rooms with some traditional furniture, but better quality, more lovely, I like to think. And although here the lighting stayed. And then we did a huge transformation of, you can see in some of these small photographs, there was a book stack loft over a study room. and the teens were in some corner of the top floor. So we created this very large, very activated teen space, and we wanted to connect to that new tech lab, so we created this staircase and seating to go up and connect. And it sort of made lemonade out of the lemon in the library's configuration. But new lighting, new color. Again, they wanted a traditional hand, so we tried to push that as far as they would let us. But the teens adore this space, especially the booths. And in fact, everyone else uses the booths before the teens get there. And here's just the last slide showing glassed-in conference rooms, study rooms, and just trying to push the envelope to have many new services, great space planning, and improved vistas and connections inside and out. The next one is I would call Restore with Contrast. And some of you may know this huge library addition. It's to the Boston Public Library, Copley Square Library. Philip Johnson created a brutalist and postmodern, and so that's two very difficult labels. A brutalist and postmodern concrete addition. And this transformation by William Rahn actually completely changed it with human-centered design, shapely forms, and vibrant color to radically change the user experience. So this was Philip Johnson's answer to the citizens of Boston. You could not look in. It was like entering a prison. This is now what Bill Rahn did, and it's just radically changed. And this strategy of renovation with contrast, I can't call it a restoration by any means, but the building was saved and reused, and which is in and of itself a sustainable act. But this addition, you know, the prior was just about universally disliked, and it's a glorious space now. You come into this welcome zone, which merchandises all kinds of collection, big cafe, and all through the library now, all those concrete walls. So Clem, your concrete walls can come down pretty easily. All those concrete walls are gone, and you see the bridge, you see, there's every level and every space except for the fabulous auditorium and suite of spaces near it in the basement is now connected to natural light. And the people are at the natural light. In library planning, we call that the living edge, and you try to bring people, and if you don't bring them, they'll find it anyway. It's the first seats in every library that fill. But you can see the color, the form, the coordinated palette, it's vibrant, it's active, this tech hub. The whole library is just really pulsing and energetic and much loved when it was not before. So the next one is another little MDA project. And we assisted village residents in Sag Harbor, New York, which is out in the Hamptons, with a campaign. They banded together and called me and said, you have to help us save. Mrs. Russell Sage had bequeathed this gorgeous 1910 library on Main Street to the village. And it was adored. And it was an Augustus Allen Classical Revival building with Guastavino tile vaults. And it was going to be abandoned to move the library out of town to a sort of main drag, which had parking, and this had very little parking. Although the buildings across the street were happy to lend it. So the design disproved the many naysayers in the village who believed that the building had no future. And the design provided for an accessible main entry and welcome zone, program space with independent access, added collection space, offices, an elevator, another egress stair, beautiful local history archives under the Guastavino tile vaults, and a new enlarged children's zone in what had been an exposed brick wall basement, the adult collection. And now that's just reached off a ramp, which you'll see in a second. So here's the beautiful, classical stone steps, which are no longer the main entry. Now you'll come into that. There's a recessed link so that the glass addition gently touches the back of this jewel. And here you can see the new entry. So you come down a sloped sidewalk, and you enter into this wonderful entry with a welcome zone that leads to the restrooms, the meeting rooms, and right to the left is this huge new children's zone that's no longer exposed brick, beautiful, light and bright. The next one is a building in Cambridge, also by William Rahn. You may know that this is a LEED rated building with a beautiful double wall. It's this transparent showing off of everything the library provides, and it is loved by everyone in Cambridge, Massachusetts. But it was a beautiful Van Brunt and Howe 1887 Romanesque building, which was chock full of program that couldn't fit anymore. So the new uses triple the library size and certainly and really enhance it. So there's the historic section. Now it's just a beautiful reading room. And the stacks, like in Rye, have now been removed, and it's this amazing teen zone. And then there's a beautiful link, which you'll see in a second, behind that tree, that brings you over to this new edition, and that's welcome in like 50 languages. You come in, and it's the welcome zone. And here you can see the link between the historic and the new. So like many of these others, it's gently recessed. It's a beautiful connection. And I don't know if you can see those signs, but they have these large printed banners for all their signage. And members of the community and librarians are on all the signs. So it really brings the library to the community. And there's a little cafe, and the reading rooms are glorious. Children's zone is huge, it's a whole floor. Study rooms, stunning auditorium. That's the teen zone that's in the old stacks. You see the slender stack windows, and it has this little skateboard area in the back. There's the auditorium. And the original steps are just a seating area now, and people use it quite a bit. And I love this because it shows what a lantern it is to showing off all the beautiful library activity. And it's color, form, it's 4 levels, there's one underground. It's a terrific building. The next one is a very tiny Carnegie. I've written a lot about restoring historic libraries, renewing them is what I like to say. And I contributed to a book on the Carnegies. And this is one of the smaller ones in New York City, and it's in Staten Island, which is a bit of an outpost in New York City. But it was by Carrere and Hastings, famous Beaux-Arts architects in the Northeast. But at 4,500 square feet, which is like, if you divide by 10, you're in meters. So at 4,500 square feet, it was way too small to serve the community. So Andrew Berman's office designed this magnificent glazed addition in the back that elegantly houses all the new services and permits the original Carnegie reading room, which was the adults, to serve as the children's library. So you'll see this in a second. This is the fabulous addition. There's also a lower level. It too gently tucks behind and elegantly joins the beautiful Carnegie. You can look in, and there's a space within a space. I don't know if you can see it here, but the meeting room and other functions are in a central space, and the library services ring around it. And then in the bottom corner, there's the original Carnegie reading rooms. And instead of the cert desk in the middle, you have this lovely rug and seating, but it's a wonderful space for the children, and the new addition provides fantastic library space. And this has won a number of awards. And this is just, I didn't include many plans, I don't have a lot of time, but I thought this is very indicative of the success of this solution. So the next one is the Woburn Library in Massachusetts, also a Richardson gem and historic library. And this was expanded, instead of blending with it and sort of slightly modernizing historic details, this one is expanding with contrast. and this is a CBT library. And they added 30,500 square feet. It's quite a large addition to complement the existing, and they completely restored the existing fabulous historic library. And then tucked to the side and gently, you can see even the string courses of the various levels of the historic building just aligning with the spandrel glass. And so there's a sense of scale that's continued with this quiet addition, but it's not quiet inside. It's fabulous, it's light-filled. It doesn't ram into the existing historic library. It gently touches it. There's even a little courtyard space there. Light comes into the center of the library. Existing openings were reutilized to make a gentle connection here. And people, of course, gravitate to that living edge, and that was very much provided to connect the people to the books and connect the people to the lights, to the light. And, it's really important. These physical and visual axes, connections, are really critical to a successful library. And then you can see on the right-hand side where the original library was exquisitely restored. And Clem was on the jury to give this a AIA ALA Library Award last year in 2023. And so that octagon space is restored. So the next one is one of my favorite. We just posted it on Inspiring Libraries. The next one is the Lawrence Public Library in Lawrence, Kansas. I had the pleasure of flying down there to visit it because I thought it was so interesting. And brutalist libraries are not uncommon. Pretty much every municipality has one, or two, or three. And, these buildings were built really well. My School of Architecture was Paul Rudolph, so I know brutalist buildings quite well. But this one I call reuse and wrap. And I think this is an ingenious solution. This too won AIA ALA awards and other awards. And it's by a firm now called Multi-Studio. They used to be Gould Evans. And this innovative solution doubled the space, halved the energy consumption, and boosted civic pride as it transformed the 1974 brutalist concrete structure into a forward-looking, community-centered library. Wrapping the existing library in a high-performance envelope brought daylight into the lobby and public spaces and reduced energy consumption while creating an appealing biophilic environment for users. Lawrence Public Library is now a community hub welcoming users of all ages, and the use has skyrocketed. So this is the new side of the building, where a former parking lot has been turned into a new civic plaza, beyond which is actually the city park. So it connects the downtown with the city park, which it hadn't been before. And it converts, and it extends the community programming outdoors year-round, from concerts in the summer to even ice skating in the winter. And there's this beautiful terracotta rain screen and lots of glass added. But that diagram is key. So the brutalist structure you see there, and you see starting to be added to down there, has been wrapped with this new light-filled, continuous zone of fabulous library space. And
there you go, Clem.
yeah, see, wrap it. And this is a new welcoming, where it parted in the middle is the new welcoming entry to the building. And this is the side again. And when you come in, you come into this entry welcome zone, there's a welcome desk, there's a cafe, and you'll see these in the original Brise Soleil. So these concrete portals are 10 feet apart, going around most of the building. They were reutilized. Steel beams were run over the roof of the building, which was a very economical solution. And all of that concrete wrap has become repurposed as entry to this auditorium space, the flexible meeting room space, entry to glazed study rooms, entry to the circulation hub. And so this is, you see the motorized garage doors, overhead doors, bringing you into this fabulous meeting room space. This is the circulation zone, which you come just past those motorized overhead doors, and this is where they consciously got rid of the circ desk, and everything, just about everything is self-service now, but there is that large opening where you can come ask for help for anything you need. If you come from the entry zone through this, you connect into a new atrium, which was cut all the way down to the lowest level underground to bring light into the building. So this building is just awash in light. And there's the atrium. And the stacks are now really connecting people to the books with seating interspersed between the stacks. And here's, you know, again, those fins, creating little play alcoves for the children. On the left, you see they become study rooms. And then there's wonderful in another corner. Each of the corners is completely open and transparent and connect views out and in. And so that's a building that I love. And this next one is also by Multi-Studio. How many of you live in a town with a big, empty, big box store? Okay. Well, they decided that the sustainable thing was to repurpose the empty big box store and make it into a fabulous library that connected to a fabulous park. So this is an adaptive reuse solution that transforms the ubiquitous vacant big box into a flexible community library with space to gather inside and out. The community articulated the need for a beautiful, engaging destination that would bring people of all ages together and connect to nature. So it was a win for the city of Olathe, Kansas, and a win for the people, and also a win for the library. So this is an early render before it was completed in construction, but it has a million different things if we read all the fine print, including a 230-seat community event space, a cafe, a courtyard, an 18-foot fireplace, a variety of quiet and noisy and collaborative spaces, makerspace, gaming rooms, library, bookstore, children's reading garden, etc., etc. All from that Hy-Vee store. So this is what it started as. It's quite a transformation. And then that's the wrap on the outside. And even on the inside, you come in, there's a welcome zone, cafe, all kinds of spaces. They cut a hole through the roof to bring light into the center. There's maker spaces, there's all kinds of reading spaces, the children's spaces, the entire back of the building. They use pattern and color and vibrant materials. It's the lovely fireplace area. And that's the park that they created next to the side in what was a side parking lot. I think it's a great solution, and I think it would serve many a town. The next one is another adaptive reuse, which is for the RISD, Rhode Island School of Design's Fleet Library. And this is Monica Ponce de Leon, whose firm then was called Office DA. And it's a restore and infill, is what I would say the strategy is here. So there was this 1920s beautiful building downtown, a bank building, and it was empty. And downtown needed purpose in the building, and the school, the university, needed a bigger library. And when you see it, you'll see why they loved it. And so they decided to do two things: carefully restore the architectural details of the landmark bank, and also accommodate the library program, a huge collection, an amphitheater, a circulation desk, a student lounge, study space for 250 students, without jeopardizing the historic character of the space. But it is not traditional. And so the team resolved to do both, placing completely removable millwork islands, cabinetry, in the barrel-vaulted banking hall. And the islands more than quadruple the square footage provided, and provided for much needed space for the library. So here's the bank building, here's the library. Here's the solution. This is all millwork. It can all be removed. The bank can be restored to a bank someday, but I don't think they're ever going to let it go, because this is what the inside looks like. The welcome desk and amphitheater seating, this court floor. On the side here, those are study alcoves in the underside of the steps of the amphitheater, step seating. Every detail in the building is restored. There you can see the study alcoves on the side. Students love the building. They have concerts here. They have parties here. They have everything here, and it's a much loved adaptive reuse, and it's really, everyone says on campus, it's the place to be. So the last one, I believe it's the last one, is a project by my office. It's unfortunately saddled with a very difficult contractor, so we're about 6 months late in construction. But if any of you want to visit Oceanside, Long Island in the fall, I'd be happy to take you through it. But this is an innovative library. It's, I hate to say this, but it's one of my most can-do library clients I've ever had. There's nothing that they didn't want to do to create a vibrant, state-of-the-art community hub and platform for community creativity. So, and their old building, this is the topping out of the steel, my office, we're all standing there, we're having a good time. And and this is the render, because we're not quite done, of the exterior of the library. But this is what the library looked like before. Now these photographs are no surprise to anybody. We've all seen a million libraries like this. It functioned, people came, they used it well, but it was just so uninspiring. That was their auditorium space with those folding tables downstairs in the basement. You know, the collection was not exquisitely displayed. The welcome desk, not too welcome. The outside, not too welcoming either. The children's library was bereft. And so we took the whole thing down to the steel. And which is still sustainable, not quite as we're using more of the building like Lawrence, Kansas, but it's still a sustainable strategy. And we are renewing a really dated, non-performing structure that could not meet their hopes and dreams with their new vision. So here you see, this is actually the side of the teen space with these huge bay windows and window seats. We're standing inside and out of it here. So we decided we wanted to work to pursue a biophilic scheme. So there's a lot of light natural wood, there's a tremendous amount of daylight, it's a light palette. Dark blue is their identity color, so we had no choice. But we used it. And this, you'll see that we had a lot of fun with the lighting. It's actually won an AIA award for the lighting. And there's, when you came into that side, there's a big vestibule with automated book return and sorting and book lockers. And you come in through sliding glass doors, and you can see the self-check, and this is the welcome desk. And there's a big cafe right there past the welcome desk. And then just open axes, there are 2 cross axes. In the back is a glazed-in stair. There are study rooms to either side of it. The living edge was our focus for seating. And just trying to bring the people to the collection. You know, there's all kinds of collection here. Cross axes and sunroom was added back there with a fireplace. And there's a reading garden out past that. The living edge tables looking toward the glazed study rooms. When we get upstairs, the entire second floor now is a huge children's space and teen space. This is the elevator turn to the right, teens, and their own doors. And then the rest is the children's. And you can see the children's desks, their technology. There's a big program room there, their own restrooms, a lactation suite, stroller parking, the whole 9 yards. This is a little tweens section off the children's, and then the teens is beyond that gray wall. There's a story hour corner. This is the teen space. They named it the Beacon already. And they have this program space off the Beacon with sliding glass doors that they named the Lightbox. And then downstairs on the lower level, we have an entire suite of services instead of that one or two little basement rooms. There's a theater lobby, there's art gallery, there's the creatory, which is a big demonstration kitchen and makerspace. It's got 4 different stations to cook in. There's a podcast suite for digital production and editing. There's a STEM lab. There are 4 big community rooms of various sizes, classrooms, and we have a state-of-the-art theater with acoustic wood paneling. And that's the last slide. And we're very excited. Come visit. And so that's the end. I hope that you can see possibilities to transform Hamilton. And every other difficult building that you know, library building that you know, it's really rare that it can't be done. There are occasions that it's rare. And I hope some of these strategies, and you can mix and match them, gave you thoughts, ideas, inspiration for your next renewal of a difficult